Helsinki couch, right? Hey! After party time. What?
Cheers!
Yep. Hey, let's introduce our panelist, a former senator, and he's also the campaign manager for the Gutierrez Berdalla gubernatorial team. Jess Lujan in the house. From Portail-Letexen, we have Kallen Perez, and former Republican Party chair Phil Flores, of course, Sabrina Salas Matanane. My name is Chris, and let's get right into it. We had some pretty good guests tonight.
Yeah, good group of guys.
Very articulate, very well spoken.
Was he joking, or are you really the chairperson?
No, I'm not the chairperson. I'm the vice chair.
Vice chair.
Hey, you got promoted.
You're very involved in Carl's campaign?
Yes, I am.
Are you guys gonna fight? Because
Oh, no.
I can go.
Yeah, but before we get into the gubernatorial forum, what did
Right.
you think about the candidates tonight? Clint, first time running. Julius, first time running. Very performed really well tonight, I think.
Yeah, I think especially in contrast to Senator Torres, who's had 2 terms, 1 term.
I believe it's 2.
2 terms, yeah. They both the guys sounded really well informed, like they knew what they were talking about, and they held their own, I think, for sure. But I appreciated Senator Torres' perspective, that she wasn't afraid to disagree with them from being on the inside, and I thought that was interesting. But it seemed like the guys kind of agreed on most things, and then she was like, oh, well, on this we can't do that because of bonds or, certain things.
Right,
and
right.
she was kind of like, listen, you might have great ideas, but once you get in there, it's not so easy,
Right,
so
right.
I appreciated that.
This
even
is
though,
the reality.
Yes, exactly.
I think Senator Torres came through loud and clear. Such a statesperson, basically, that she is. There's no doubt she'll be reelected. She came out basically, most especially when the question was asked regarding the GRT, the switch over between the GRT to the sales tax, and basically she said, well, it's not going to be an easy fix.
Yeah.
A lot of our bond borrowing is tied into the gross receipts tax, so it's going to take time down the line to switch over, and whether or not, as Carl Gutierrez said today at the forum, says, we have to see, you can't just switch over, you have to make sure that the sales tax is in concert with what the GRT is bringing in regards to be in concert with all the bond borrowing that we've had. So again, it shows that she's not a neophyte, and
Right.
so.
What about you, Phil?
Well, I hate to sound like a politician, but I liked all 3 of them. And as you were saying in the room before we came on, Senator Torres is just always a lady.
Yeah.
She's very, very nice, sincere person. And she comes from her family, people who support her, give them their lives to the community like her brother and her father. Julia Santos, first time out, nice and articulate, maybe can take some harder stands one way or the other. And Clint, I've liked Clint. I've always had to like Clint because he used to be a reporter. You never know what he was going to say about it. But, I like the harder stands. That's why Donald Trump is our president. He was not wishy-washy. I don't know if he'll stay president past 2 years. I think he will.
Right.
But because he will take a stand. And I would think people, instead of trying to satisfy both sides,
Just
go
pick
after
one.
a point.
Yeah, and I think that's been kind of a thing that we've noticed in, as each episode of this show airs, is you got a vast majority of the candidates going out and making a stance and then doubling back and like, oh no, if you guys don't like that, I can,
But
I can
actually,
pander to you guys.
I could understand the other side of the issue or something.
Right. So Julius obviously did that a lot, where he would come out on one side and then kind of double back. And I'm not sure if that was pandering or if, he's just trying to cover all the bases.
I liked what they said. I was hoping that Clint would go a little further when they asked about the government finances and trimming the fat and everything. I would have said, if I was going to, I'd say that's a good example of the fat to Julius Santos.
No, and there was a point where we talked about leveling the playing field, and Julius is a special assistant who was moved from a job at Gita where he would have had to resign and run for senator, and basically he's one of those guys who's nesting, they call it, at Adlu.
Absolutely.
But there's nothing illegal about that.
It's not illegal.
That's why when I saw that they're going after people like that, it's been going on every cycle.
Right on.
And why pick on these people now? They're just, if they don't like it, that legislature has a chance to change the law and give it on to the governor. And
Right.
change it.
And I think this election, though, it's more highlighted for several reasons. Because we're at a
Dave Cruz.
right? We're at Dave Cruz, right? And then you've got guys like Dave Cruz, and then teachers like Sabina,
Yeah.
senatorial candidate, who have to quit their jobs, and we're not talking about people who can afford to quit their jobs. And so
Yeah.
I think the disparity and it really shows this election.
I was going to say, like, the one thing where I would disagree with Senator Torres probably on the most is on that act where she said it was created for a specific reason, and the framers of the Constitution had it in mind to allow for special, if you're appointed to still continue or something. But it's people, like teachers, Sabrina Perez from Portillo-Texan, Dr. Kelly Marsh-Titano from Portillo-Texan, who had to say, okay, they're going to give up their day job to run for senator, which is also super expensive. And then you have these political appointees who are able to retain their salaries and, not in fear of losing. If
and
they
then
lose
they
the
also
election,
they get an advantage in terms of the administration or the legislature will put them out there in these positions where they get a lot of exposure. So
right.
Well, Chris, I think it was you that covered the story in regards to the disparity. Where you covered, I think, the story in Michelle Titano being fired, basically.
Right.
You have Amanda Blas, who basically, I guess they could have saved her in the very beginning, other than just saying that this is the position. She really is, and what the title says is what we say she is. And then she resigned. She succumbed to resignation. So even within the administration, some are saved versus not. What is that in the psyche of those individuals who were fired or had to resign, saying, wow, I am not the chosen one.
right.
Did I hear that correctly though? But Mary Torres was saying that she agreed that exemptions need to be in place and that she had supported the mini hatch act.
Yeah,
Is that what-
she
But
said
there's,
that.
but there's no Mini
There's a
Hatch
good
Act in the
reason.
legislature.
Sure, that's right.
If I
Right.
support, I
Yeah,
should have it
yeah.
everywhere.
Right.
I think if I'm allowed to keep my job and I run as a non-government employee, I think government employees should be allowed to keep their jobs.
Yeah,
Sure.
agreed.
I agree.
At every level too.
Yeah,
Of course,
think
it's the
that-
lower level ones who are resigning, not the special appointees at Adelup or
Right,
whatever,
right,
So
right.
it's
And I think that we need to get more of those voices of those people who are.
Yeah.
who
I'd
are,
like to see a part-time legislature, a citizens legislature,
yeah.
and then you'll get a lot more people running who.
And I think that's even in the stories that you're covering, you do, Sabrina, is that it's either anybody can run
Right.
or nobody can.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
government. Yeah.
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 I mean, I agree, and I think we
Yeah.
need to, give the Civil Service Commission more teeth
Sure,
to go out
sure.
and, enforce these violations when they take
I mean,
place.
look, we talked about it for the legislature. What about Senator
Right.
Rodriguez and Senator Ogden? And we
Yeah.
kinda
Yeah.
they're not forced to resign.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it isn't. You're right. It's not fair for. And I think Senator Ogden came out and said, they want to make it so that special assistants and whatnot have to resign or they shouldn't be protected. Well, I don't think it's fair that you're right. Elected officials shouldn't get a free pass either. I think we should definitely bring everyone up to that level.
Yeah, it should be. Everyone should be held to the same standard, or then there shouldn't be one.
Yeah. What about term limits? What do you guys think of the term limits
I thought
question?
the answers were interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Senator Torres to say.
Well, I missed that part because I was
She had
late. What did
introduced
they say?
legislation regarding term
Yeah,
term limits.
I hadn't known that, but.
What'd you say?
She had introduced legislation
Yes, she did.
relating to
Right,
term
right.
limits.
But
And I
then
thought it was
Julius
good.
reminded us that if the constituency elects the person, then the constituency should be able to keep them. That's what makes a career politician or something.
They
And-
just,
and
I
Clint
mean,
was-
I mean,
I don't know if I
was
agree.
open to it.
Yeah.
Right.
He needs to hear more about it.
I'm fully in favor of term limits.
I'm in
Yeah.
favor.
How
of
many?
I'm in
Well,
favor.
how many
I'm in favor of
terms?
term limits. I mean,
For
if
what?
you have
For senator?
if you have term limits for the governor, I mean, again, here's another thing where you have some offices that have term limits,
Yeah.
some don't.
Yeah.
Right.
Some government employees can run, some can't. So it's either in or you're out.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have mayors who've been mayors
Yeah.
for forever. So,
So,
see,
yeah.
what about them?
So when we talk about term limits, like Phil, I'm curious, what is a good number of terms for like a senator?
If I may, well, okay, I don't think this was discussed tonight by the three candidates or the senator and the two other candidates. But I think there should be a 4-year term for senators, and I think there should be staggered elections, so I'm not worried about raising money and going out and
Yeah.
campaigning every 2 years.
Right.
Campaigning
And then perhaps
policy.
2 terms or 3 terms, which is either 8 or 12. Governor is 8, the president is 8. And it's good to have good, clean thought in there. One of the arguments about against term limits is that we voted out so many people 2 years ago.
Right.
Well, we could have voted him out. That wasn't affected by term limits. We could have thrown him out in no sweat.
Yeah. People always say that, oh, you term limits, you got them, they're called elections. That's all.
Yeah. And then there's the fear of losing the institutional knowledge. But
I think Julie's made a good point. I mean, if people
people want
like
someone
you,
in
if
there
that's their gods, and they're going to keep voting them in, whether or not they're
for
stupid
40
for
years
doing it.
in the legislature.
I apologize. My argument, my reference to that argument before was for a 4-year term instead of a 2-year term.
Yes. Right.
But it's 4 years, 2 years. I mean, it's only 2 years left if you vote them out. They're only allowed to run twice. So
Right.
2 years, so it's not a big deal.
But I think the 2-year term is difficult because then they're spending half of your term campaigning, and you can't focus on policy, and you want to.
And you're pandering.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
pandering.
And
Yeah.
But with 2 years, you have been there, done that. So
Yes.
Oh,
1
yes.
year, you work. Election year,
No work.
resolutions.
Really?
Yeah.
Kissing babies.
Although I think
and
with
all
this
that.
legislature, it's been like 2 years resolutions.
2 years resolutions, yeah.
What did you
Yeah.
think about Mary Torres's response to the question on which political status they supported, and she had responded that they needed to modernize the decolonization statute, to
register,
change
right.
to change the options that
Yeah.
fit more of how
What
modern
people now
Chamorros,
want.
modern Chamorros feel.
I was really
Yeah.
disappointed with her answer, to be honest. It didn't seem like she even understood the question, because she said that to change it from status quo and
That's
then
one of the options.
independence and whatever, and it's like, but status quo is not an option.
Right.
So that, to me, kind of invalidated it, but I do know that a lot of people do have that concern about, nobody wants those 3 options: free association, independence, and statehood. Or there are people out there, is what I meant, who don't want any of them. So what about those people? So I understand her concern, but I don't think it was articulated well at all.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think we're stuck in this.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, you're talking about what political status would you want. I mean, 3 of us could say 3 different things that all the same thing at this point. But the fact remains here, would we be able to vote? We've got a challenge right now. We've got
Yeah.
a challenge.
Yeah.
And whether or not, if that challenge, would there be another challenge to that? Because we know, I mean, as Carl Gutierrez said at the University of Guam, we keep going down this road, we're thinking we're going to win. There's a campaign that says, well, we got a new lawyer, I think he's really good, we're going to win. Carl Gutierrez says, hey, look, whatever status you want out there, get a petition drive, get your signatures out there, present it to Congress, because the courts are not going to decide on a political decision. Get that petition out there. Nobody's going to challenge you in court. Present it to Congress where the fight is at, and then you won't have a court challenge.
Yeah.
but Puerto Rico's done that and been ignored.
It's
That might be because they're asking for statehood.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't want to bring on 3 million
That's right.
more people,
Right.
Especially
from an
brown
impoverished
people.
area. And well, I don't think so. I think the Democratic Party. I mean, that's what they're pitching themselves for segmented portions of the population. But I think
yeah, I meant
I think
the
a lot
administration.
of it has to do. I think with just the poverty level in
Absolutely.
Puerto Rico, which is different. Actually, we don't have a low poverty level. We're not rich like parts of California, but we're not poor like parts of California. But I think our population is too small to be a state. I like where we are right now, and I'm one of those who say I don't mind the status quo, and I certainly don't want to stop being an American. I like that American passport. I like that dollar. I like that education system. I like having the military here for a number of reasons. And I'd like to see it on as a choice.
Sure.
Whatever we're doing now may not be working. Now I'm sounding like a candidate. Whatever we're doing now
Right-in.
is just not working because we've been stuck at neutral for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Vote for me, number 5 on the ballot on the light side.
And here's the thing, Phil.
You voted for me?
Exactly what you said. You like the status quo, then that should be one of the statuses that people should vote on.
But I don't really
Yeah.
think status quo has worked well because there's so many barriers to us being able to put our wants and our needs forth because we don't have equal representation. We don't have a vote for president. And I think also, like you were saying, you don't want to stop being an American. You enjoy your passport and stuff. That those things could happen with one of those 3 options.
But I think also,
Statehood.
but I think also with
State.
what Phil's referring to as well is this. He's not saying it, but I think a status quo with the Constitution.
Status quo
with
with
a
the
Guam
update.
Constitution, as an updated
true.
status rather than just switch over to status quo. But you have a status
Right,
quo
and I think
with the
that
Guam
was, that was
Constitution.
Senator Torres's point is that we're going down this road and the window, the doors are locked from the outside, the windows are all up, we can't get out, we're stuck on this, free association, statehood, independence.
Oh, we're stuck in a vote on
Yeah.
whether who's going to vote now.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
we're not going to have a vote until this court decision
decide
is
who, yeah.
decided.
Well, let's get back to the candidates.
Okay.
Out of the
Sorry.
three, do you see all three
Friday.
moving forward into the general, or even perhaps having a seat in the 35th Guam legislature?
I really like Clint a lot. I loved his closing statement talking about making Guam green. I thought that was so articulate and smart, and focusing on the environment, money, and cannabis, right?
Yeah.
Those are the three green things. And I think everyone says environment as part of their platform, but I don't think a lot of people really take it seriously. And from what I've seen from Clint and heard, and just through the grapevine and on his platforms and stuff, I've been really impressed by. So even tonight, I appreciated what he had to say. I thought he did really well and held his own. And
I
really
think it's
helped us
interesting
stand
that
alone.
the two guys, both coming from a media background,
Yeah.
with different end games. Clint is someone who's reported on these things, and it's like, oh God, everything I reported on, I couldn't make a difference, so I want to, jump in the game and try and make a difference. I'm running for senator. Whereas Julius comes from a media background, got involved with the government, and was inspired in a whole other way to kind of like change things, that way. So that was interesting. I think it's obviously their media experience really showed tonight.
Yeah, actually, when
Yeah,
you're
very
asking who
savvy.
will probably make it to the primary versus the general election, I think Mary Torres will be elected in the 35th Guam legislature. If there's a Republican majority, I think she would be
She's the most veteran out of
the speaker
Right.
in there. Clint is good. I like his answers, but he's got to pull away from the pack because everybody else is saying the same thing.
Right.
He's a little more known for being in the media, but he's got to pull away from, I'm supporting this, I'm not supporting this. We need to cut the fat. You have to say which fat you're going to, and I would have taken the opportunity and said, that's the fat that I'm going to cut right here, first and foremost, and then pull it away from the pack,
Yeah.
pull away, because everyone else, again, being involved in a gubernatorial campaign, I'm hearing candidates speak, and my suggestion to them is pull away from the pack, especially if you're an unknown.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're correct. You're right. You're right on that. And you can't be nice all the time.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
to take sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if there are people out, you pick 2 or 3, 4 issues, and you just drill
Stick with
those, drill those,
Right,
drill
right,
those.
right, Yeah.
But if you're on a show like tonight, you ask questions, you don't have the
Yeah.
Yeah.
ability to
It's
control what the
difficult.
issues are.
Right.
Yeah.
But still, take a stand, be somebody.
Yeah.
So I mean, his stand was weed, right, in the environment. I guess that was what he was kind of
Who?
out on.
Clint?
Clint.
It was, the environment, money.
Money.
Um,
Keep Guam, or make Guam green again, or something.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
make
can't
Guam
remember
green.
all. There were 5 different greens, and then Julius was like, "I'm green with envy." So I
Right.
remember all of it.
Cash, environment, and marijuana. Oh, and renewable energy.
Yeah,
I
and I
thought
think-
that was really cool too.
I think Clint, when he came out, it was he came out hard, and campaign finance is something really interested in. He set these limits on himself, like $50 from individuals, no corporate donations.
Oh, he
so
did? I didn't
I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty interesting. You know what I mean? But he can afford to do that because he's got the name recognition.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
like a Bernie style approach.
tonight we
Small.
kind of saw him, and I kind of wanted to see him maybe feel the burn more, going
Yeah.
that super progressive. I like
socialist.
what he said about.
Who do you think has more name recognition, Julius or Clint?
I think they have.
Clint.
I think it's Clint.
Yeah,
I think,
different-
maybe different demographics too, right?
Right.
So, maybe Clint with like the older, smarter people.
But when I see Julius, I always think of Julius Caesar.
Right.
And,
Yeah, both of you guys called him Caesar.
I know
though.
that's in his
Yeah,
signs.
no,
He-
yeah.
he's- I mean, he's
What?
smart,
It's
you
on
know?
his sign?
Yeah.
But that's not
Of course.
on his real name.
No, it's not. But he's running.
So it's not going to be on the ballot,
And that
right?
was smart of him. That was something, I mean, we're friends, and that's something we talked about. Like,
Yeah.
is he going to do the Julius Caesar because, people are going to recognize him from
But
that.
if it's not on the ballot, remember we were talking about the Amanda effect?
Right. Yeah.
Then they might be like, oh, never mind, it's not here.
Right.
I mean, he's definitely the only Julius running.
True.
Well, let's
But,
move on to the gubernatorial race.
Are you sure we're
because-
done with these candidates, though?
Well, the important thing is to not vote for. If you liked all of them, don't
Right.
vote for all of them.
That's
In the
right.
primary.
In the
That's right.
primary,
Yeah.
which is what, 50 days away or something
No,
like
no,
that?
no,
Right.
31.
Yeah.
26, right?
31?
Close,
ma'am.
yeah.
August 26th?
Yeah.
25th,
25th.
25th?
Saturday.
Right around the
A month
corner.
from today.
For a month from today.
What you
yeah.
said, who's getting in?
Wow.
I think all three of them are going to advance past
Advance,
the primary.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
But you can't vote for all three of them in the primary.
No.
Don't forget. What
Either Democrat or
Rory said.
Republican.
Stay on your
You know,
side.
general election results, I really think it's going to come down to what they do
In
down
between,
the
right?
stretch, right?
Yeah.
I know that with Clinton having the name recognition and, I mean, he said it, the credibility, for what it's worth, I see a lot of the other Democrats trying to, like, jump on him, you know? They want to, like, rub elbows with him and get that association with him, so
Yeah.
I think that if he's going to run as someone who's seen and reported on politics and wanted to make a
Yeah.
difference, then he's got to be careful to not become one of the gang.
True.
At least, you know.
But he also
'cause
doesn't
that's
want
what
to
he's doing.
alienate himself
Right,
from
sure,
his
sure.
potential future colleagues.
right.
So it's hard. It's a hard dance, right?
Yeah,
And I think
but
Julius-
you can
Senator
become
Lujan.
friends with all of them when you
Right.
get in. The first job you got to do is to get in.
Right.
And then after
True.
that, you start glad handing.
Yeah.
And I think Julius is going to have to, and this is probably the same task that the lieutenant governor has to do, is to be able to kind of create some daylight between.
Well, he's
Yeah.
got to,
the
because I mean,
administration.
tonight his answers basically were kind of towing the line.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at this point, when you're looking at what people are saying out there, I mean, when you're looking at the Democrats versus the Republicans in the legislature, at this point, you have, you know, Mary doesn't toe the line. I mean,
Right.
she goes at times, but she doesn't all the time. Then you have people that are labeled, you know, like I guess the first term, or when Dennis first came in, he was constantly towing the line of the administration.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he, you know, everybody
there.
was corrupted except for him.
Yeah.
You know?
I am the only not.
I'm the only non-corrupt. Really? Really?
Everybody's corrupt.
Corrupt. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's okay if your dad doesn't pay his taxes
Yeah.
because he's busy.
Yeah, and I ran that business, by the way.
All right, the gubernatorial forum
yeah, on that
hosted
note-
by the Chamber of Commerce today was, what, 2 hours long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you guys
So
think?
long.
Right? But I thought it was really good.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I thought it was really good
Yeah,
too.
no, I
Very
liked it.
interesting.
You know, I gotta I gotta
Are you going to quote
that-
Carl Gutierrez?
No, no,
again?
I gotta quote Bob Klitzky.
Wow.
Oh
I gotta
my
quote
goodness.
Bob Klitzky. You know, he's got a new show now, right? Bob Klitzky says, "Yeah, you know, if Lou's gonna take on Carl, she's always gonna be on the canvas."
Carl is very smart and quick and witty and forceful. I had a dream last night about Carl.
You did?
I did. And,
What was he doing?
That you were his campaign chairman?
No.
You guys are gonna fight. I knew it.
Because I do know, you know, like when I was chair a couple times, I was the attack dog for Carl, for Governor Gutierrez.
Yeah.
And so I had a dream last night that I went up to him and I said, you know, Governor, I'm not going to attack you this entire campaign. I'm not going to get involved in that. So, and I was hoping I'd have time to say that to him, to tell him I had a dream about him last
Well,
night.
you're
What
saying
did
it to
he
him today.
say? What did he say in your dream, though?
Get out of here. No. No.
And he gave you a
Carl
shout
can
out.
be so charming when he's smiling. And I think the thing that when he was on stage tonight, especially at the end, and he looked angry, and he's so much better when he's happy and smiling. Because you're
Yeah.
right, he can outperform just about everybody.
Right.
And he
I think Uncle Carl's what makes him so appealing is that people he reminds you of like your uncle at a barbecue who's just telling everyone what to do, and listen to me, you know what, this is what you need to do anyways, and if you've listened to me in the first place you wouldn't be in this situation. Like, he's so relatable, right? We all know like someone like that. And he is charming, but I don't know if
When he wants to be.
when he wants to be.
Right.
I just don't know if that mentality is going to be useful in the facing these modern issues.
I think
that we
he's got to
have.
evolve a little bit, because it's a
Yeah.
different game, and he talks a lot about the way things were
Yeah, what
and
he
things that
did.
he's done. But I want to see him adapt to 2018, because
Yeah.
Well, look,
if you look at all the candidates, though, he is the guy who can get down at Gora
Yeah.
and go and hang out, and it's not going to be awkward. I mean, the other candidates maybe not as
I think
charismatic.
it was pretty clear today that Governor Gutierrez thinks that Lou is in the front, because he went after her a couple of times.
Right.
And the one about ATMs being a branch and Bank of Hawaii.
Oh,
First
yeah, I
Hawaiian
remember that
Bank.
part.
That was 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
That is not what is going on today.
Yeah.
And then the talk about procurement and the bank
Yeah.
and the
People are taking shots at the bank today.
Yeah,
A lot of-
and,
yeah,
and
a
I'm
lot of
glad
them.
it was Bank of Guam was the local bank and not Bank Pacific is the local bank. But it showed me clear that he was going after Lou because he thinks Lou's in the front.
Does that open it up for Frank or Dennis maybe to come up with the side? Because people talk about the polls, and right now, I mean, no offense, it's Frank and Lou kind of neck and neck is what I'm hearing.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but
I-
I think Frank, he shows really in-depth understanding of issues. Like when he speaks and gives examples of what he's going to do, he's so specific that it's like, even me, when I'm watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is he even talking about? You know, like using the AG, what was it, the D something, some tax, and then how our AG is not
Delinking, yeah,
representing.
right, yeah.
Like I didn't even know. I had to look that up on the side, and to me that's very impressive. But I think to some voters it can be very alienating.
I think
right?
he's got to dumb it down.
Yeah,
a little bit. I mean,
and so
maybe,
with
Maybe
Lou,
not to
like-
that audience.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because
right.
he's speaking to the
Good point.
chamber,
Good
too,
point.
so.
Yeah.
Well, you know, with Frank and his speeches and what he's saying, you know, I mean, he's got this mobile podium that he brings around. I'm going to introduce this bill to give to the taxpayers. Oh, by the way, it's non-binding, but I just want to see what you think of increasing taxes. But it's not going to count, okay? The court's already ruled on that. So again, this is one of those things that I need to make use of my podium and say what I need to say, and have the people vote that it's not going to count anything. It's kind of like our political status. In defense of Carl, when you say, yeah, he's reminding you because we have some of the same old problems that we're facing now,
Yeah,
and these are
similar.
solutions that he had. As a matter of fact, you talked about the hospital. You talked about Tommy Thompson, who is the Secretary of Health and Human Services. at the time.
Don't get me going, Jess. I remember the hospital under Carl Gutierrez.
So
I was chairman after that.
The situation that he was going to come out here prior to the 9/11 and have dissemination of
But see, that's what I'm saying about evolving. I mean, to insiders like you guys, that stuff, it's captivating, but to the voters out there, they're like, why the hell is he talking about 1990, 2000? Like, who
Yeah,
is
some
Tommy
of the
Thompson?
voters weren't even born in 1990.
But I think that this election, Carl is stronger than he's ever been, and I think
Yeah.
he's managed to kind of outrun,
Yeah,
maybe not with your demographic, but kind of outrun that Uncle Carl's crooked, Uncle
I still
Carl's
think
corrupt.
he's holding his own. He held his own.
Yeah, he
Oh,
did.
yeah, he
Like,
did.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
He was going
Yeah.
after Lou, like you mentioned, especially when Lou was talking, when they were talking about the hospital, and Lou was mentioning about, I said, why don't we declare a state of emergency? And Carl's response is, we don't need to declare a state of an emergency. So, what did he say about letting go of the board, or?
No. He said he would. I mean,
Just get rid of the
organic
board.
as they're getting
Yeah.
access
Which he
to
did
government.
before.
Yeah.
You got rid of the board.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so when he went after Lou with that, it's basically Lou had said, I've never been accused of corruption or convicted. Carl says, I've never been convicted. Who you and accused of what? And that's when he got into the
Right.
the
It was like she was
And I'm like, what happened
Regal
to the
deal.
unity
Yeah,
pledge?
et cetera. Yeah.
You know what
The
I mean?
Regal deal again, that's gone.
Yeah.
But I did like those. It was kind of funny because everybody's clapping, being polite.
Oh, the
And-
chamber's very cordial.
No, I mean of the candidates. But when Carl would say something, Governor Gutierrez would say something at Lou, she wouldn't clap. And when Lou said a part about there about never been convicted, Carl didn't clap. But
I didn't notice that. But did you guys notice that in the comments, Troy Torres was commenting live?
Yeah.
I was like, this guy will throw a match on any
What
dumpster
about
fire he can find.
Dennis Rodriguez, Senator Dennis Rodriguez, he kind of went in there and set fire to the Chamber of Commerce. He was like,
Yeah.
no special
Opening-
favors.
opening
At the
comment.
beginning.
no, he insulted the business community, I thought.
Yeah.
When there was
No,
a
that's what I mean,
discussion about a
yeah.
GRT and a sales tax, he says, if we're going to remove this, the GRT, the price isn't going to go down. Yeah. Who are you to say that? I mean, it's like the business community's out there gouging people. No, they're not.
And if your prices don't go down, you're not going to stay in business very long.
Yeah.
But I also
but
felt like the other candidates were
Yeah.
kind of pandering to the
Yeah.
business community and in ways that was like, it
Kinda
didn't
gross.
feel genuine.
Yeah.
It was super like slimy, Whereas at least Senator Dennis is like sticking to his
No, I mean that's what you can,
Guns,
you
I
can
guess.
say is
Oh,
that he,
okay.
His breakaway. He broke away from the pack.
Yeah, but
right?
I don't think he was accurate in his statement. I mean, that's what I'm getting to.
Sure.
I did
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
how in the closing
agreed.
statements that Lieutenant Governor Tenorio stated very clearly that all of them who are up there want to help and advance the community.
Right.
And he was 100% correct. Every one of those people, none of them is running to just further
harm,
themselves.
yeah.
Right.
They're up there to help.
not
all
even
of
the
us.
true Megalai.
Yeah. It would be great if we could just take all of their best ideas and like combine it into one.
Weird science, a
person.
candidate.
Phil,
Yeah.
can we say that was Ray's teaching moment for
His
the
teachable
question?
You know, I learned
moment.
something from it.
His teachable moment.
I mean, LT came out, played it safe, was like really humble. I noticed he was using his apology voice.
He was, he was strangely.
Right.
I thought he did a good job.
Yeah. No, I mean he didn't do a bad job.
No, he did a good job.
How would you rank him though?
All of them?
Like, let's just say, okay,
Like
who
best
were the
in
two
show,
best?
or
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
two
yeah.
best, probably Frank and Lou, or Carl and Lou, or I don't want to go mysteriously missing. So
Right.
everybody did great.
That's
kidding.
it. Take a stand.
Hey, I'm not going to rank 1 or 2. I'm going to rank. I think Carl did held his own. He did real good.
He did. He
Yeah,
did hold
yeah.
his own.
Well, there's a reason I was chairman of the Republican Party twice. Lieutenant Governor, almost said Lou, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio.
I think it's a
It was
tie for
fun.
me between Lou
Yeah,
and
it was
Frank.
good. I enjoyed it. I mean,
Yeah. You know, I've got to say, a couple Mondays ago, I mean, if you heard about, of course, the indictments of Carl Gutierrez and all that, right? Who led that?
Carl was never indicted.
Attorney General.
Oh, he was indicted, that's right.
Attorney General Doug Moylan.
Right.
yeah.
Doug Moylan was at our Meet the Leaders gathering, and endorsed Carl. I said he is obviously the most qualified here, and
You're kidding.
he's the one. No, you go to our Facebook page and watch that. He's most qualified, and he's
This
the one that
election
will
season's
work
really
best with the
something.
Attorney General's office. And then we got
what? Right.
Say what?
Yeah,
So-
he made sure to let everybody know that he was the most
Yeah.
qualified, basically, or
Yeah.
that he'd been there, done that. I think that's what he
Right.
said. And there was
Yeah.
a part about you need to think out of the playpen.
Yeah, get out of the playpen.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that your
and
line?
Don't go
quit
fishing in the
quit
swimming
fishing in the
pool.
swimming pool.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
let's go
Yeah.
with big fish. That.
No, I mean you're right. I mean he's charismatic. Of all the candidates, he's definitely the most charming. Maybe he does need to smile more. And I understand that he brings up what he's done, but I'd like to see him talk about what he's done and how that will compare with what he's going to do. You know what I mean?
I think it's nice that he can like relate to the average person, but to me it's totally dwarfed by Senator Frank's like just in-depth knowledge of like legislation and the issues that are going on. It's like you could ask him about any issue and he'll give you some long list with all these definitions and stuff. He's like a professor, and even at the decolonization
Forum.
forum,
Right, yeah.
I felt the same way. I was so impressed by that, and I hope our voters see that as well and don't just see someone who talks like me, or that I can relate to, because that doesn't necessarily make for a great
Right,
leader,
right. And I think you see.
I'm hoping our voters will see somebody who can execute, being executive. And you could be a professor and execute, but somebody who knows how to run and organize and has vision. And I see that in Ray. I see that in Lou. I see that in Carl. I'm not sure if I see it in Frank, although I like him very much. I don't see it in Dennis.
Mm-hmm. I don't see that in Dennis. I don't see that in Frank, and obviously the three that you mentioned, with the exception of Carl, having been in there and running that and knowing and still having contacts in Washington D.C. and the ambassador to China, who he had served with as governor in Iowa at the time. So these are all part of Carl's networking, and obviously over the years we talked about the strained relationships with the federal government. When you have the FCC commissioner calling in or basically writing and says, look, I don't even want to deal with the governor or even the legislature.
Right.
Look, U.S. attorney, can you deal with him?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what,
No, and
I mean,
think
there's a
that's
strained
what
relationship.
LT has
Yeah.
to do is he has to, like, there was a part where he said, I've been right by Governor Cavo's side. And I
Yeah.
think that was kind of telling because with this budget crisis, I'd like to see Lieutenant Governor Ray Tenorio take more of a leadership position.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And you know, I'm not willing to accept, and I don't know how many people are willing to accept the leadership by association.
Sure,
You know, Governor Cavo, say what you will, but he was down there at the legislature. I mean, he was calling them in a special session. He was taking those hard stances, and I think that LT is very fortunate in that you go to this debate today, and you've got the Democrat on Democrat violence, and no one's attacking him, and
Yeah.
he should be using this, you know, calm before the storm to. You'll take some stances and to get out there and to.
No,
to
Lou took
do
a shot at
things.
him today.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but I was kind of surprised because I brought my son Rocco with me. He's here for summer vacation between his college years. And what do you expect, Dad? I told him I expected something like what the Republicans did when there were 17 of them running against the Democrats, and it was obviously going to be Hillary, and they would repeatedly shoot at Hillary instead of each other.
Yeah.
And so I expected
Protectionism.
more of that today, that the
Yeah, and
Democrats
that would have been a safe play for
gone
them.
after him.
Yeah,
But I think it's because it's a primary, you
Yeah.
know, so
but that's always been the
They
problem
have
with the
to-
They have
Democrats.
everything to lose, yeah.
shoot at
I
each
think
other.
also the Democrats, Ray Tenorio, Lieutenant Governor Tenorio, part of his ability to become governor is based upon what happens after the primary and the Democrats. So I saw a little bit of the Democrats trying to be nice to each other, except maybe Carl and Lou.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, hey, I'm your buddy, so if I win, I'm hoping that you guys will come with me. I don't think that's going to happen. I think there are going to be a lot of the Democrats who are angry that they did not win, and so they're gonna. I'm hoping they come over. I know it's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Because we used to, if Carl would lose, or
You would court him.
they'd beat
Yeah.
the Republican headquarters the following
right,
Monday.
Right.
Well,
And I think it's interesting what Lou and Josh are doing, and they're really playing the long game. I mean, I think they're already
Yeah.
looking past the primary. Where I was talking with Senator Rory, and they're already saying that they're getting the Republican supporters. And if you noticed, a lot of the rhetoric coming out of their campaign, a lot of it sounds Republican. You know what I mean? So I think they're really playing to the right.
You know,
and-
it might be accurate, but it might be wishful and certainly cliched, because every candidate will tell you
Right.
that the other guys, people, they're with them.
Oh, they're totally
now.
with us. They're totally with us. Right. Yeah. So I mean, I just think it was interesting how there was a forum, and Lou was saying things like, "Oh, privatize. Oh, government can't and shouldn't provide everything," and those are traditionally things that the
Republican
GOP
ideals,
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, again, if they're saying the Republicans are going their way, I'm a Republican and supporting Carl Gutierrez.
Right.
Yes, I'm going to talk to you about that
Yeah,
later.
you will, yeah.
no fighting, guys. What I say.
well, we certainly thank you guys for coming in.
Can I say one thing
Yes.
before we're up? As we're speaking about governors, one of my favorite governors and a good friend of mine, my partner in the garbage business, had a birthday today, Governor Paul Calvo. So
Aw.
happy birthday,
Happy
Gov.
birthday.
There you go.
Final comments?
Yeah. I just got to say, I had an opportunity and a pleasure to have known your grandfather.
Thank you.
And your grandmother.
Yeah.
Boy, do I love him, especially your grandmother.
Yeah, me too.
Closing comments. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard again the forum today. Watch it on KUN's Facebook page and our Facebook page, Gutierrez 2018. Again, making Guam again, and again go out there on August 25th. Of this month, and vote again to make Guam again with the team of Gutierrez Bernal. Thank you very much.
Guam
Yeah,
again.
what is that? Make Guam again.
No, next month. It's still July.
Next month. Yeah.
You said this
No,
month.
they can come out and vote this month.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, primary, the 25th.
Yeah.
Vote early and
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
On one side of the ballot.
Yeah, that's right. You can't cross over.
right,
Okay,
right.
you can't cross over.
Callen, your final comments?
Just stay informed, and if you have any questions, you can look back on the candidates who've been on D18. This is a really awesome forum. The Chambers forum today was really great. And make sure you know what you stand for and what your candidates are standing for so that you can vote for them. Patay the Texan. Viva.
Viva Guam. To make Guam great again, or Guam
Make
again.
Guam again.
I was in Tanan, Taiwan last month, which is like Kyoto to Tokyo, the old capital, and the politicians going around, and one guy had all the Chinese characters, but then he had in English, "Make Tiananmen great again." I go, oh, dude, I sent that, clipped that, and sent it to a bunch of my Democratic friends. I thought they all did a good job. I salute them all for not just being on the outside talking about it, but jumping into the arena, spending their time, their money, their sleepless nights, trying to run for a position where they all think they can help our island. So again, I salute them. I ask us, all those of us on the outside, to please get up and vote often and early, but please vote in the primary election and the general election. California, where people are so political and so, people are fighting each other, divided, but they still only get less than 30% of the voters out there, eligible voters out to vote. We complain when we only get 60 or something like that.
Right.
We should try to get to 80 or 90 because this is our island and we can all make a difference.
Amen.
Vote Tenorio.
Viva Gutierrez Bradley.
Right.
Oh
I thought it was
Viva La Texan.
entertaining to see the Democrats. It's feisty group, but I mean, obviously Carl is usually the one who jumps the river after the primary. So I guess if the Democrats really want it, obviously a lot of them do really want it, but do they want it as a group? I think they should work on that unity pledge because it was pretty fiery today. I don't know what kind of unity that was.
Well, actually, we're going to leave you tonight with the opening comments from today's gubernatorial forum at the Chamber of Commerce from all of us. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you Monday. Our guests for D18 tonight on Monday are Laja Casil, Amanda Bloss, and incumbent Senator Joe S. San Augustine. So check that out, D18 tonight, TV8 at 6:30 p.m.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carl P.C. Gutierrez, and thank you for inviting me here today, conducting your interview on who's going to be the next governor in come January. Just to remind the Chamber of Commerce, when I was speaker back in 1983 to 1987, you handed me an award. I still have it on the wall. I think it was Bob Jones and Bill Flores, and I can't remember the other one. I didn't look at the picture. That said that we were the most pro-business legislature in the history of Guam, and none has ever gotten any since. Fact is that I was a Democrat, and that we passed the law. Frank Santos and I worked hard to pass the law to do away with the gross receipts tax for wholesale, providing now almost 2,000 jobs. And it's just going to escalate more. I've been governor for 8 years. I was speaker for 4 years. Ways and Means Chairman for 6 years, in the legislature for 20 years, including that. I don't think, if you look up here, that you can't say that I'm the most equipped and ready to start working to extricate ourselves from this financial mess that we're facing right now. In 1995, we faced the same situation, only on a smaller scale. I was Ways and Means Chairman, giving Governor Ada a budget of about $566 million. By the time I took office in January of 1995, it was down to $366 million. And so it was like a crashing situation because the Asian economic bubble burst, and we had the earthquake, we had many things going on. But I pulled in the business community, and this is where you're going to have to look at this very closely. I've been there, done that. People can give you all their precepts and concepts and different ideas of what they want to do. Well, I've done it. I did it in 1995. I pulled in the business community. Not only were they advising me, but I empowered them to make sure that we get the right laws in place, the right vision. We did Vision 2001. We built Pleasure Island there. We put $52 million in Tumon because that's what we needed right away to build up the economy. We went and enticed more airlines to come in immediately and build more hotels. It was the consolidation of the entire community, from the clergy to the educated, the business particularly. They were there working with me day in and day out, forging that mission forward. We had a short-term, mid-term, and long-term goal.
Thank you, bro.
And that's what we did to do it again in 2019. I'm going to call you guys in and empower you to figure out what the best laws are, that will move this island forward for a sustainable economy, and that we must work together because it's a very dangerous situation. Thank you.
Half a day, and thank you very much. And Dr. Ness is responsible for this opportunity to be able to be before you this afternoon. You know, we're all here, and it's kind of difficult for me to ask all of you to look ahead and to think about the positive things that we can do and take our island community. Because we continue to hear day in and day out about many of the issues affecting our community, from the loss of accreditation at GMA, to the possible loss of Medicare and Medicaid funding. Also, in addition to the impending $140 million budgetary shortfall for the upcoming fiscal year. Also, with the GRRP mediation, the courts recently instructed mediation that does not have the Office of the Attorney General representing taxpayers and the people of Guam. These are some of the issues that our community is faced with. But you know, we're all here, and we've shared a lot of our ideas over the course of using the media and over the course of the advertisements in the last several months. But let me say this, Team Ugan Limtiaco has already started the work. From fighting to repeal the elected officials' pay raise, fighting to repeal the liquid fuel tax increase, and also proposing to deappropriate money from the top so that it can go to getting one of our schools constructed. But we need to look ahead. And in this particular case, Alicia and Ugan Limtiaco team will reach out to the business community, and we need your ideas and your expertise to help us to formulate a tax code that's appropriate for Guam. We need your partnership so that we can formulate a plan and take and strengthen this economy for our entire island community. And we also need your ideas and your voice to be able to ensure that we strengthen and not only improve our economy, but ensure that businesses operate successfully here on island. Team Ugan Limtiaco is committed to working with the business community and is committed to working with each and every one of you, because this is our island and we must make it better together. Thank you.
Half a day, thank you for holding this important forum today. I want to introduce my running mate, Mr. Joshua Tenorio. Joshua. We appreciate the opportunity to provide you with our plans for what we want to do as Governor and Lieutenant Governor. The government of Guam's financial house is collapsing daily and must be placed on a responsible foundation that begins with taking a hard look at government operations and changing its culture. As the only gubernatorial candidate who has run a long-term successful business, I know that we cannot repair our financial house if we do not take the steps to protect it. Here's what we plan to do. First, we do not support any tax increases until we first ensure vigorous enforcement and collection of all taxes. We will hire an in-house tax legal counsel to assist a new tax recovery unit dedicated to collecting taxes. We need to collect these taxes before individuals and small businesses are burdened with further taxes. 3 of my opponents have been in public office for the past 8 years, and we are in dire financial situation. Where have they been? Second, if you've ever been to GMH, you know that the nurses and doctors there are some of the hardest working people in Guam, committed to their jobs and saving lives. The suggestion of a receiver for GMH is a costly and easy but not permanent solution, and it's coming from someone who favors independence for Guam, which is a total contradiction. I have been a registered nurse for 45 years, and as a GMH board member, I worked with the Camacho Cruz administration to secure accreditation 8 years ago. We need strong leadership, sound management of collections and operations, and a stable source of funding. Third, we need to cut government spending. As a businesswoman and a banker, I know what it means for my business and my customers to struggle to make payroll. I know that lean times call for cutting expenses and tightening our belts. On day one of our administration, we will conduct a full assessment of public assets, liabilities, revenues, and operational expenses. Our leadership is not about career politicians. It's about solutions for our very real problems. Thank you.
Hafa to the members of the Guam Chamber of Commerce. This island, and many of you in this room, are sick and tired of the politically connected getting a leg up on everyone else, bastardizing the free market, and destroying the one thing that gives young entrepreneurs any hope of success, a level playing field. Seeking out corporate collusion is what creates corporate corruption. Seeking out best practices from one company in an industry is what led to the decision to spend $1 billion on the conversion of the power system from one form of fuel combustion to another, and not to solar panels. Not only will we consolidate 52 agencies into 9, we will end all their rental agreements, move them into existing government offices, and effectively privatize the management and operations of GPA, GWA, DPW, the Energy Office. GITA, as we know it, won't exist, and GVB will be done acting like the Santa Claus of this government. Dave and I won't have a GPD security detail. We will drive ourselves in our own cars. I will veto any legislation that takes away any more of the people's civil rights or in any way increases the power of the government. We will revamp every set of rules and regulation in this government to reduce the regulatory burden and thereby decrease the probability for corruption to fester. We will revamp the tax code to reduce the tax burden on our people and in your income. And mark my word, not a single industry in this room will receive a special favor from the duty to pay taxes. We will show the people that their government is one that protects and advocates for justice by first exposing and jailing the corrupt. Then and only then will this government have the moral authority to begin to address the social ills of our society. Ills that we will address with deep love and affection for our people, no matter who they are or where they come from. We will turn this island around by imparting upon our people the respect that they have so often been deprived of, and the love that so often is missing for the plight they suffer in their homes and in their lives. For us, this is where the economy is built, not in back rooms with foreign investors, but in the backyards of our homes, replacing imports with the fruits of our labor, and one day the manufacture of exports, so that in 4 years at the end of our term in office, this chamber will have expelled those who have corrupted this economy and this government, and the majority of you will be joined and supported by a new majority of members who will have made entrepreneurship a call to action on a level playing field for generations to come. Giving special favors to banks and insurance companies is why this current administration is demanding that the rest of you pick up the bill for the privilege to continue amassing their wealth. My commitment to you, ladies and gentlemen, is I will govern according to the principles of free market. Dave and I will reduce the GovGuan payroll by eliminating hundreds of political hires to include the elimination of all deputy director positions and most director positions. We will operate a governor's office on half the staffing level it is now. Sejus Masi, thank you.
Afade, and thank you for the invitation to speak. Look at what we've done together, this Chamber of Commerce in Guam. In the last 8 years, the private sector and this administration have grown this economy, and I have been by Governor Calvo's side every step of the way. New businesses and thousands of jobs are created, and we have been excited to watch your businesses grow. And this is just the beginning. Guam is now at the tipping point of unprecedented economic growth. GDP has increased by nearly $1 billion. Unemployment has fallen from about 13% to 4%. Household income has risen by about 18%. Tourism numbers are at historic heights. New businesses have opened and many existing businesses have expanded. And the military buildup that we've been waiting for so long is finally here. We'll invest billions of dollars and thousands of jobs into our economy. This is the result of the people like you in this room and a partner in that loop who understands the importance of commerce. You invested and took the risk. We worked to keep the government out of your way. And while we made great strides together, there are still more things to do. Like the private sector, the public sector will always have challenges. The question you must ask is, among all the people that you see here today, Who do you trust to continue the progress that we made together? Because everyone up here has had a chance to address these issues. While others will talk about building a brighter economy, Governor Calvo and I, along with you, have done it. Others will promise to grow tourism, but together we have done that as well. And while many will talk about the need to create more jobs, together we brought more unemployment, that is, to the lowest level since 1992. And as governor, I'll continue to do these things. Many will make promises this election season and tell you what you want to hear, but Tony and I will not sell you a bill of goods. For example, there's been a debate on how to address the budget shortfall caused by federal tax cuts. Politicians are taking the politically convenient position that it's irresponsible to raise revenues due to the federal tax cuts. Leaders will tell you the hard truth. Not doing so would unwind 8 years of economic progress this business has made. But don't take my word for it. Speaker B.J. Cruz said, if we don't replace some of the revenue we've lost, we will lose much more than money on October 1st. Chief Justice Merriman said not raising revenue would effectively eviscerate years of progress to the utter detriment of the people of Guam that we're accountable to. Former Public Auditor Doris Flores Brooks said, not taking action will result in Guam falling off an economic cliff. Like good business managers, Tony and I will tell you the truth and provide the solutions and address the challenges, whether popular or unpopular. As you listen to the candidates, ask yourself, who has the experience, the track record, and the transformational vision to continue the progress? The answer is Tenorio Ada, because we have been here with you, by your side, building this island. And one of the most important things the next governor can do is keep this economy growing. This is awesome. Thank you.